Born in Kumla, Örebro County, Sweden in 1953, Rolf Peter Ingvar Storm was the child of a medium, and he grew up in a devout Christian household. He grew up tall and lean with an angular face and, as an actor, made the decision to lean into the elements of his look that made him unique, saying, "There are so many people who hate themselves, and I realized early on that you can't change your looks. You have to live with what you've got. It's not that I love my looks, but it's me, and I cherish the blessing that there's only one of me in this world." Peter Storm already sounds like a name an actor would adopt when they came to Hollywood, but while studying at the Swedish Royal Dramatic Theatre, he realized that one of the senior students shared the same name. He briefly flirted with the idea of simply reversing the spelling of his name and going by, I'm going to mangle this, Retep Mrots. But ultimately he settled on the name Peter Stormare. On a quick linguistic note, the word storm has the same meanings in both Swedish and English, and the English equivalent of Stormare would be stormer, or one who storms. It would prove to be a brilliant piece of branding for the Swedish actor as he moved to America. His first role in a major American film production was an unnamed neurochemist in 1990's Awakenings, starring Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. But his breakthrough role would come arguably in 1996 when the Coen brothers cast him as Geir Grimsrud in Fargo. His imposing look and his signature growl have earned him a series of roles as heavies, ranging from more generic mobsters all the way up to literal gods of absolute evil, including an appearance as Satan in 2005's Constantine and the role of Chernobog in American Gods. He has worked as a voice for video games and cartoons, and appeared in both television and film, as well as continuing to pursue a career in live theater as an actor, playwright, director, and producer. In 1990, Stormare was named the Associate Artistic Director of the Tokyo Globe Theater, and oversaw a series of productions of Shakespeare in Japan. Stormare also wrote and performed music as a hobby until the early 2000s, when Bono, upon hearing some of his songs, encouraged Stormare to pursue it professionally. He released his first album in 2002, and to this day he plays in a band called Blonde from Fargo, and owns and operates his own record label, Stormbox.
Dead guys don't do that! Not dead. Undead. I think I need to unwet my pants.
We've already discussed how difficult it can be to follow in the footsteps of a legend. It's particularly difficult when you're an actor who has been cast in a role in an ongoing franchise where you have to replace a popular star. But what if you're brought in to completely replace the franchise yourself, and not just any franchise? Batman the Animated Series practically redefined the world of Batman. In addition to winning a seemingly endless string of awards, selling millions of dollars worth of toys, and generally integrating itself into an entire generation's childhood, the Bruce Timm created production rewrote characters, finally giving solid, iconic backstories to previously underwritten characters like Mr. Freeze and Killer Croc, not to mention completely inventing Harley Quinn, arguably one of DC's most popular modern characters. The Art Deco style of Batman the Animated Series still pops up in direct-to-video spin-offs, and pretty much everybody's first response to a new animated or video game Joker is to check and see if Mark Hamill is providing the voice. 85 episodes, plus an additional 24 episodes of a sequel series, and a handful of direct-to-video movies, plus a feature film released at theaters. How do you come in and reinvent that? The answer is you try your best to create your own thing, cross your fingers, and hope people don't burn you in effigy because you dared to cast Kevin Michael Richardson instead of automatically throwing money at Mark Hamill. By the way, Mark Hamill totally deserves to have money thrown at him. But so does Kevin Michael Richardson. There's room for more than one awesome villain voice in the world. The Batman didn't try to build off of its predecessor. Instead, it rebuilt from the ground up. The story goes back to the early days of Bruce Wayne's Caped Crusader career, showcasing a Batman in development. It borrows some design elements from the 1960s television series, but for the most part, the look of the show takes off in its own twisted, science fiction-inspired direction. Introducing a younger cast of characters, the story plays fast and loose with established canon, but pays continual homage to the versions of Batman that have come before. Some fans of the animated series never really adjusted to the new look and feel of the show, but it was successful enough to last for 5 seasons, 65 episodes, and to win its own string of awards all along the way. 2005's The Batman vs. Dracula was the one bite that the Batman would get at the feature film apple. A sequel was planned inspired by the comic story Hush, but it was canceled quietly without any real reason being given. Released direct-to-video to help support the release of Batman Begins to theaters, the story of Batman vs. Dracula sees the Penguin and the Joker each independently escaping from Arkham Asylum in search of a treasure that they've been told about by a fellow inmate. Unfortunately for Oswald Cobblepot, he arrives first, only to find that the treasure is in fact a reincarnated Count Dracula. Before long, Dracula is biting Gothamites and putting them under his spell, while Bruce Wayne is struggling to find a scientific solution to a seemingly magical problem.
Truly magnificent.
Oh, my necklace? It's a family heirloom.
And you are?
Alucard. Dr. Alucard.
Bruce Wayne. I don't believe we've met.
Pieter Stormare as Dracula chews the scenery like nobody's business, and it is a joy to listen to. He snarls and snaps, but maintains so much dignity that Dracula almost seems completely sane compared to Gotham's usual suspects. And yet, he is more vicious and deadly than all of them combined. But perhaps the best part of Stormare's Dracula is the way that he interacts with Batman. In a fresh twist on the "we're not so different" trope, Dracula looks at Batman and sees not a superhero, but a cosplaying fanboy who must be obsessed with him. After all, they both like bat motifs, they both dress in capes, they both stalk victims in the night. Dracula isn't frustrated or angry at the Batman, he genuinely seems to be flattered. And he can't understand why this man who so clearly idolizes him doesn't want anything to do with him. It's just such a refreshing take on an old idea, and I love it. The Batman vs. Dracula was not the first time audiences saw Batman meet the Prince of Darkness. Batman fought vampires in the comics as early as 1939, and Dracula was the co-star of one of the more popular Elseworlds stories, Batman and Dracula: Red Rain. And that's before we get into the fact that one of Andy Warhol's infamous homemade movies was Batman Dracula, featuring Jack Smith in both title roles, or the completely unlicensed Batman Fights Dracula, filmed in the Philippines and starring Jing Abalos. People have loved to put Batman and Dracula together for a very, very long time. The Batman vs. Dracula was just the first time it happened on screen in an officially licensed way. But what do you think of Pieter Stormare as Dracula? Drop down into the comments and let me know, and while you're down there, take a moment to look at the other buttons, because there's a like button, there's a subscribe button, there's also a button that you can use to get notifications. They put kind of a bell looking thing on there. And there's also a share button. If you think that other people might enjoy this video, why not share it with a friend? Why not share it with 100 friends? Why not share it with 1,000 friends? Until next time, I am Glenn Williams, the film Optimist, reminding you to watch like it means something.